Everyone, and welcome to Grow Your Life this morning. I want to talk to you about when you have too many ideas, aren't sure which path to pick, how to pick the right one every single time. This is something that a lot of people ask me. This is something that I've worked my whole life, not known what to do, what not to do. And people struggle with this. Everybody does, because we don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to waste time. We don't want to spend too long doing one thing instead of going down the path that we know we should. This is ingrained in us because we want to do what our calling is, what our destiny is, what's inside of us. And I want to tell you this. I want to tell you something that is not going to be maybe what you expect in this video. It's not going to prescriptionize how to find your destiny or whatever that is, but it's going to give you a process that can help you choose and adjust. That way you never make the wrong choice. And it's funny, I have different thoughts going through my head while I'm thinking about this. If you have too many ideas, the best place to start is this. This is what I do, okay? Is I actually walk away from it. I walk away, I stop thinking about which idea I want to choose. I actually completely get my mind off of something else. I stop doing it. I actually stop focusing on what I'm working on. I actually move my focus away from it completely. I distract myself to the point that I have no focus on my confusion of which idea to pick. And then I wait to see which one pops in my head, in my subconscious, which one pops in my mind. And this is something that I've cultivated over time that I can trust. I've started to trust that. And that's my gut instinct right there, is that thing right there. And I do that for almost everything. When I have an idea to make, whether it's to put an image on a website here, to do a live video here, to make a course here, to write up the title of a course, an advertisement, whatever that is, this is my process for that. So I get so focused and stuck on the idea, and I'm worried about making a mistake. And then I will usually always pick the wrong one if I'm focused on, I have to pick the right idea. But when I completely distract myself, sometimes, and this is where it's funny, I've told people I'll play video games, and then I'll be playing it, and then the idea will pop in my head, the one that it's supposed to be. When I get my mind completely off of the many ideas, it circles back around in my subconscious, the one that pops up when I'm washing the dishes, the one that pops up when I'm walking the dogs, when I'm taking a shower, something like that. And I'll do this for multiple times a day, even to make multiple decisions. I'll actually do this to where maybe, I'll scroll on Facebook, I'll watch a TV show for 5 minutes, and then the subconscious will be tapped into. So that's how I'm able to do that. The other thing is I actually will pray, and I ask God, and I say, God, show me which idea is the right one. And then I trust that. And I trust that by aligning myself with what God's put inside of me, that subconscious idea will be the right one. And so it's twofold. It's actually partnering with the divine, with the creator of the universe that created me, that put that inside of me. That way, then I don't have to worry, is this just, some bad Chinese food that's giving me this idea? Or is this really the right path that I should go down? Is that? And if you haven't tried that before, just do it. Just sit there and say, hey, God, which one should I do? And sometimes the answer will come like that. Other times you'll have to go do then this physical process that I talked about, distracting yourself from the too many ideas. And I wouldn't take too long to do this. I'm talking, a day. Sometime during the day, you'll have an idea that'll pop up, one of them. And then you'll start to think. So what'll happen is your subconscious will actually tell you the right idea. And then your thinker, your mind, will actually lie to you and come up with reasons why that's the wrong idea. And that's what I've identified as my system that happens. So if that starts to happen, I distract myself from it. I ask God, show me what's the right idea, which one, what's the right path. And then I take my mind off of it and see what pops up in my subconscious while I'm doing other things that are completely unrelated to those ideas that I'm trying to figure out. And a couple hours later, maybe a day later, maybe even a week later. I don't try to go more than a week if it's a really tough idea. Otherwise, then I'm being ruled by fear of making a mistake. So part of this is this. If you're not picking an idea, then you're being ruled by fear of making a mistake. Yes, it's instinctual. That's exactly what it is. That's finding your instincts and tapping into what are those instincts that are inside of you. And when you align your spirit to God, the creator of the universe, not just your own selfish ideas, but how can I help? When I talk about lining it with God, I'm saying God loves the whole world. What's bigger than me? What's bigger than my own vision, my own life, my own family, my own personal little box that I'm in? And then that's the path right there to go down. Trust your instincts. And sometimes, check this out, be willing to make a mistake. Be willing to make the wrong choice and then adjust if a new information comes up. Let's say you make a choice, you find out this is not the right path. This is where people, unfortunately, they never trust their instincts. They make the wrong choice on an instinct, and they never trust their instincts again because they say, I'm never going to do that. I'm always going to come up with the right logical idea. And then that leads them down a path of repeated pain, failure, and repeating failures over and over again. And if you're somebody who's in that cycle, that could be why, is you're allowing fear to dictate that. But when you ask, you ask God, show me the right idea, then you get your mind off of it. That's when then the instinctual comes in from the subconscious. If you don't understand the subconscious mind as well, that's the gut feeling, which actually the reason why we say that, interestingly enough, is we actually have neurotransmitters throughout our body and in our gut that actually tell us certain things that aren't clouded by our experiential truth. And that's where that instinctual thoughts come from. So then be willing to make a decision. The biggest thing that I've seen that holds people back is then they allow fear to dictate it. Then they don't make a decision at all. So then we go weeks, months, years without making a decision, and then wondering which path should I go on. You have to make a decision, because the thought is you have to reach anything, to go after your goals, to do something great. It's a stacking series of thousands of decisions, hundreds of them that we make over time. So if we take too long to make the first step decision, that's where we start to falter. That's where we start to struggle. So you have to make a decision, something. You have to pick one or the other. If it's like, well, blah, 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 you just still can't decide, that's where then instinctual. And if you still can't decide, that's probably fear that's holding you back. You're afraid of making a mistake. You're letting that influence it. And at that point, that's where then you have to walk in faith. You have to take the step forward. You have to put one foot in front of the other. You have to step out in faith outside of what is in your mind and your instinct that's telling you don't do this. And then walk down a path and make a single decision. And then when you make that first step, that first decision, that first A versus B decision, that one path versus another, it becomes very clear what your next step should be usually. But what holds people back is they don't ever make that A or B decision out of fear. They don't make that faith, blah, 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 whatever. There's so many different layers to this process, and they're stuck in that one state that they've always been in. So if you're somebody who can't make decisions, tap into your instincts, take your mind off of what you're trying to decide, trust your subconscious. And if you're afraid to, step out in faith. Do what you're afraid of. Go after what you fear the most. And when you do that, when you put one foot in front of the other, the next step starts to become clearer. And then over time, you'll start to trust yourself. You'll start to build trust with yourself, that I can trust myself and I keep my promises to myself. And in this, then you start to have a track record with yourself that starts to compound over time. Myself, I can trust that if I'm walking in this, if I do this, I can trust that. And if I make a mistake, it's okay. I can adjust along the way as well. If you start to do this over time, methodically, you'll start to walk down a path towards your destiny, towards your calling, and not struggle. There is no right or wrong path, by the way. That concept of having to get it right or wrong is actually not true, that's a whole nother topic for another time. Way too deep for this 10-minute video. We're already at 10 minutes. But what is wrong is to not make a choice, to not make a decision, to stay stuck in your failure, to stay stuck stagnant. That's always going to be the wrong decision. The right one is to take a step forward, to take a step in faith, to take a leap of faith and to go after what's inside of you, your calling, your destiny, and you'll see results after that. Have a good one, everybody, and we'll talk soon.